Well, today's episode is going to be a very fun one. We're going to be reviewing Stardom's much recent event from the 23rd of February in uh, Matsumoto. Nothing big, but however, we're getting closer to March 4th, where we have the Triangle Derby finals, and then of course we have the first ever All Star Junior Festival 2023, where all junior heavyweight competitors from Japan and some people from the CML brand in Mexico participate. This is going to be a very interesting event to enjoy. And then finally, we have, of course, AEW Dynamite. As you know, this is their go home show before we head to Revolution this coming Sunday. And then finally, we ended up with more news updates regarding with more of GCW events. And of course, it's been announced for a Pro Wrestling Noah star who is announcing his retirement. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with Stardom in Matsumoto. This took place recently on the 23rd of February. Now, there's another show after this, and then, of course, there's the showcase. But I don't know if I'll be able to see the showcase in time, but once it does, we'll get to it. Our opening match, we have Yuna Mizumori representing the Neo Stardom Army, taking on Queen's Quest Miyu Amasuka. Now, you probably think in this particular match, it could fall in the favor of Yuna Mizumori since she is a much bigger individual, and the Neo Stardom Army has been trying to prove a point that there's the lack of passion within the Stardom roster, and I think that sets the tone. However, it was Yuna Mizumori who applied the tropical smasher, giving her a win. And I think this is a good moment because not a lot of fans may know who she is. I mean, if you guys are just pro wrestling fans in general, you may have seen her in various promotions in Japan, such as Choco Pro, Got to Move, Pro Wrestling Wave, wherever she's booked. But being in Stardom, I think they're giving her a good opportunity so fans can get to know her. Our second match, we have Tekla versus Saya Ida. Now, these two have competed in some capacity, not like fighting each other, but more like who has the bigger muscle. That's always been their thing. But I think this is more who's going to be the strongest one to walk out as the winner. And of course, it was Tekla with the uh, Doku Dokukumo death drop that finished off Saya Ida, giving her a good win. Next up, we have a three-way tag match. We have Oedo Tai, consistent of Ruka and Starlight Kid, versus Club Venus, Mariah May, and Mina Shirakawa. And then finally, stars Momokogo and Koguma. As you know, much of this, there's moments we're going to see Koguma with, of course, trying to do the the bear dance. It may work, it doesn't work. Some people may not want to be involved in it, but you cannot resist the power of the bear. That's always been the case. But as you know, Mariah May, since she came to Stardom, she has been very impressive. People gave a lot of praise for her. It was she who picked up the win when she applied the Happily Ever After onto Momokogo, giving her the win. Now, our next match, we have a trios action. We have the other members of Oedo Tai, consisting of Momo Watanabe, Saki Kashima, and Natsuko Tora, taking on the Cosmic Angels, Waka Tsukiyama, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakano. Now, you all know how Oedo Tai are when it comes to trying to cut corners. They always use weapons. They try to play every moment. But however, Waka, in the start of this match, she was on fire. Like, she was really determined to get in front of Natsuko Tora no matter what. But In the end, she got whacked by both Momo and Natsuko Tora with their weapons, but because the ref did not see it, Momo applied the what she calls it, the Hito de Nashi driver, giving her the win. And of course, Cosmic Angels were pleading their case, saying they saw that they used weapons, but referee did not set. So basically, that's how it ends. Next up, we have Stars, consistent of Hanan, Kazuki, and Mayu Iwatani taking on the members of God's Eye, Mirai, Amisuri, and Suri. Now, you know we have seen many times how Suri and Mayu Iwatani get back and forth, all this and that. But it was, of course, Suri with the Zukazuku to pick up the win. Now, our main event features the Queen's Quest consistent of Lady C, Utami Hayashida, Azumi, and Sayaka Mitani taking on DDM's Maya Sakurai, Himeka, Maika, and Julia. Now, keep in mind, this is the road to Himeka's retirement. This is one of those matches where, of course, we're going to be seeing her that she has to pick up many wins as possible before she leaves. But there was great moments in this match, especially when it comes to Lady C. As you know, Himeka and Lady C have bonded before in the past. Before the Lady C actually joined Queen's Quest early last year, she was very close to Himeka. But since the whole situation came out with Julia was the one behind the attacks, if you remember, she was attacked by Julia without knowing it. She chose Queen's Quest. But however, in recent time, we have been witnessing how DDM are trying to kidnap her, not force her, more like try to accept Queen's Quest. I mean, DDM actually. But it was, of course, the way it kind of ended with Himeka doing the running power bomb on Lady C, giving her the win. However, they tried to kidnap Lady C, but of course, Queen Quest was not going to let that happen. So finally, they answered that, but we don't know how they are. What's the reaction towards the whole thing yet? But I think it's a good story to tell. I mean, many fans are already talking on social media saying Lady C is better off being with DDM, but Queen's Quest are not going to let that happen. So we'll see what happened. But of course, the show ended with Himeka closing it. You know, as you know, we're getting closer and closer. There's now reports coming in that more matches for her retirement are being set, and I'll get to that at some point throughout. Don't know when, but we'll see from there. Let's move on to our next review, and I think this is the All Star Junior Festival. Okay, the All Star Junior 2023 Festival. Now, those who aren't familiarized with this event, let me explain. This event was already been announced like months ago about having different wrestlers who compete in the junior heavyweight class from different promotions, like not just only New Japan, All Japan, Pro Wrestling Noah, Dragon Gate. Well, Dragon Gate's all junior heavyweight competitors and DDT. We got wrestlers from different promotions you may not have heard of, such as Big Japan Pro Wrestling, Osaka Pro Wrestling, Secret Base, and whatnot. Now, there are some wrestlers you may or may not have heard of, so I will say which promotion they're from and all. This thing was kind of organized by none other than the Time Bomb himself, Hiromu Takahashi. I think he did a pretty good job, not gonna lie. I'll give you my thoughts at the end of it. So, our pre show match that they had was we have Ryo Hoshino representing 01. Then there's Akira Jumanji representing Just Tap Out. Then Fuminari Abe, you may know him from various promotions. He's a freelancer. They take on against. Oh, sorry about that. So anyway, their opponent is Kazumi Sumi from DDT. He's one of the newer wrestlers. Soma Watanabe representing GLEAT, and then finally, you guys know him, Yo from New Japan. Pretty good pre-show. I mean, it could have been, in my opinion, a good opener for the show instead of having a pre-show. Not gonna lie, but it was directly from Yo with the direct drive onto who was it that he got? Oh yeah, Jumanji, giving him and his team the win. But I think it was a pretty good match. Not gonna lie, but like I said, this match could have been part of the main card. But well, we'll see. Now the show opened up with a very familiarized wrestler in the junior heavyweight division. We're talking about Yoshin Thunder Liger. Yes, the same Yoshin Thunder Liger. As you guys remember, he retired, but he has made appearances in various promotions such as Noah and New Japan doing commentary. Not to mention, we did saw him one time at a Stardom event, but he was to talk about the event a little bit. But he also read a message from someone we did not expect, but we're hoping to pull through for him, and that is Shinichiro Otani. If you guys remember him, he was injured last year during a 0-1 event. It's great to hear from him, so I thought it was real touching. But however, that does not end there with the opening. We did see another familiar eye. Some people say he's like one of the founding fathers of the junior heavyweights. Um, Tatsumi Fujimari was there too. So I thought it was pretty interesting to see legends like him being there. So let's start with the first opening match. This one is a very interesting one. Our first team, all of them are the junior heavyweight champions in their respective promotion. We have, of course, Hiromu Takahashi representing New Japan. Then after that, we got Amasaka from Noah. And then finally, we got Vegeta Jr. Hayato from Michinoku Pro. If you guys aren't familiarized with him, luckily Chris Carlton actually explained him. He is a second generation wrestler like his father. His dad was had cerebral but he actually started a promotion for disabled wrestlers. I thought it was nice. But not much about this guy is told, and I think it's okay because he was very impressive. But their opponents they have to face is Kazuki Hashimoto from Big Japan Pro Wrestling, Hayata from Noah, who was a previous GHC heavyweight champion, junior heavyweight champion, and then finally Hayato Yamato from Dragon Gate. Now Yamato was one of those guys that felt that sometimes guys like Dragon Gate should be in the discussion. As if you guys were aware of, I mentioned this time and time again. All wrestlers in the Dragon Gate promotion are junior heavyweight competitors. So that's the reason I say that. But nonetheless, the match was amazing. I have to say, I did like how Hiromu, Amasuka, and of course, Junior actually coexisted, and I loved it. It was great. But it was, of course, Hayato with the KID, the guillotine onto um, Hashimoto to force him to tap. I thought it was pretty impressive that three champions standing tall as one of the victors. And of course, Hayato, um, I did not expect this from him, but he comes up to Keno and shakes his hand and he showed him respect. And I think I like that. Keno, even though Keno is a heavyweight competitor, he appreciates the junior heavyweight division. I think that's the one thing that I like about him. But Hayato gained respect from Kano showing him respect. And I think that's a good, important tool to have because you know for a fact Kano will give you high praises no matter what if you show him respect. Now, our next match, this is a very unusual one. We have Onru along with Ram Kaicho. He teams up with Sho that nobody likes. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Onru, Onru has his own promotion called the Wrestling of Darkness 666. So basically, it's like his own promotion. Very interesting story. But their opponents is Mao from DDT and um, Isami Kodoka from Pro Wrestling Bizarra, which is a promotion based out of death matches. It was very interesting to be nonetheless. However, Sho was a real prick. What he did, he turned on Onro, his own tag partner. And then, of course, it became a 3-on-1 scenario. So basically, what's going on is Sho mentioned this. He feels like all these other wrestlers are a bunch of losers. I'm the real junior heavyweight winner here. So that's what he thinks. He thinks that he is the true pinnacle of that. But he got his ass handed to him in a 3-on-1. Well, make that 4-on-1 because Ram Kaicho taught him a lesson. But he also got ectoplasma. So the match ended, and I don't know for sure if it was a no contest because they never mentioned it, but I'm gonna say it was a known contest. But of course, Kodama actually told him that he's willing to put himself in a match against Sho in a death match. But Sho's like, hell no, I'm not getting involved in that because Sho thinks he's better than everyone else. Our next match, this is going to be confusing. We have a 10-man tag match. We have Chicharito Shoki from 2AW, which is the um, Advanced Active Pro Wrestling. Um, Shoki Kitamura from 01. Um, Koka Sekifuda from Big Japan Pro Wrestling. Leona from Tradition. And then, of course, Musashi from Michigan Pro Wrestling. But their opponent, it's none other than Jun Kasai from Freedoms. Yoshinobu Kanemaru, we all know where he is from New Japan. Minoru Tanaka from GLEAT. Taka Michinoku from Just Top Out. And then finally, Tatsuhito Takaiwa. I wasn't too sure about this match, but Jun Kasai, on the other hand, tried to take matters in his own hands by bringing the Skewers involved in this match. I mean, this is not a death match, but Hiromu let it slide since he was right there watching. So basically, but it ended with a DVD on by Takaiwa onto Chicharito Shoki right there and giving them the win. I don't know exactly what was if that was necessary, but well, it happened anyway. Now our next match, well, this one's a very interesting. We have Hikaru Sato from Hard Hit, um, Yumero Inamari from Gambari, and of course, the coach Ryusuke Taguchi. They take on Tiger's Mask from Osaka Pro Wrestling, Batenon Blah Blah from Kushu Pro Wrestling, and then finally the Great Sasaki from Michinoku Pro Wrestling. Um, if you guys ever seen Hikaru Sato, he always has this one dress that makes it like, what the hell is he wearing? It turns out everybody in his team dressed up like that, Inamari and Taguchi. But the one thing they need to watch out is Taguchi's ass because that's the last thing they want. Unfortunately, it did not go well because it was Hikaru Sato who picked up the win by a pinfall onto Blah Blah, just like that. So basically, I don't think the commentators are probably gonna forget this day. Then we get a little special message from none other than the NWA welterweight champion. I think that's Rocky's title. He said that he is asking Hiromu, why not bring the All Star Junior Festival to the United States? And I think that's going to be good because there are a lot of good junior heavyweight competitors in the U.S. And I'm sure we know one promotion that may not be getting involved, and that would be, of course, WWE if that's the case. But we'll see what Hiromu would say about that. Our next match, we have a bit of a three-way tag match. Team number one, we have Hanaoka from Secret Base, and of course Doiki from New Japan. Together, they are known as Los Japones del Mal. They take on Yuki Ino from DDT and Elden Man from GLEAT. And then finally, we have Volador Jr. from CMLL and El Desperado from New Japan. I thought this match was great. I think it was a lot of fun, a lot of great moments here. Not to mention, here's the thing. Um, if you guys been aware of this, Doiki was a member of Los Perros de Mal down in Mexico, and that's the reason he calls him and Hanaoka the, how to say, the Los Japones de Mal. But nonetheless, it was of course the hold on, was it was the Pinchy Loco by Desperado onto Hanaoka to give him the win. I thought it seems like El Desperado has a new change of relief. I mean, he's always been the heel, but for some reason he's like embracing being a face now that he's part of Strong Style. But nonetheless, that's how I see it. Next up, we have an 8-man tag team match with masked wrestlers. We have Blackman Suri representing All Japan Pro Wrestling, Atlantis Jr. from CML, Bushi from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then finally um, Dragon Kid from Dragon Gate. Their opponent is none other than Alejandro from Noah, Billy Kid from Osaka Pro Wrestling, and then Gurukun Mask from Ryoku Dragon Pro Wrestling, and then finally Mistico. I thought this match was pretty fun and interesting. I mean, I grew up watching mass wrestlings back as a kid, especially the ones from CLL. But it was fun. But it was Mystico with the Mystica onto a Black Monstery that allowed them to win. But however, um, Black Monstery got missed in the face by Bushi, all that. And I don't know if he deserved it or not, but that's what happened. Excuse me. Our next match is a very interesting one. We have someone from DDT. Many people may not like him because he dances too much and all he does is have a little fun. We have Kazuki Irada, who comes out dancing, doing his little thing. If you guys know what I'm talking about, there's this song that goes, Tokyo! And he dances, and of course, Hiromu was doing the same thing. But his opponent, it's someone we all know. He is legendary. He knows he's a legend. We've seen him in Dragon Gate for a long time. Now he's part of GLEAT. We're talking about Shima. So Shima was in the same match with him. I thought it was fun. He actually made dances twice with those silly glasses of his, but it took a Meteoro to put Irada down to keep him down and giving Shima the win for this one. Then our next match we have is a 5-way. We have Shun Skywalker representing Dragon Gate versus Ninja Matt representing Noah, even though he's an American. Then, of course, we have Yohei, another Noah representative. Then Soberano Jr. from CLMO. And then finally, Taiji Ishimori from New Japan. I thought this match was pretty good because I knew there was going to be a lot of hot spots, especially when you see guys like Yohei and Ninja Mac. But one thing that led to another, it was Ishimori who picked up the win onto Skywalker. But here's the kicker. Kevin Kelly made a good, fantastic point about this match, how it ended. As you know, Ishimori was involved in a 4-way match that resulted him to lose the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. But this match became more like a sense of justice for him for putting himself in a position where he had to put his title on the line against 4 people. So that's how he sees it. But I don't know. Now our main event, we have the battle of All Japan and New Japan. Representing All Japan, we got Atsushi Aoyagi, formerly the All Japan Junior Heavyweight Champion, taking on the future of a future IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. We're talking about Master Wato. I thought this match was great. I loved it. It was so good. But it was Master Wato who picked up the big win on this one. It became like, if you guys remember New Japan, All Japan, they have a history from the very beginning, and I think that kind of brings us back to that era. But this is the future of 2 wrestlers in their respective promotions. But it was Master Wato who picked up the victory by pinfall. 1, 2, 3. It was done just like that. So my thoughts of this show, amazing. I have to say, I loved it. Loved the wrestlers. I'm glad I got to know certain wrestlers I did not know. But nonetheless, it was all good. So I think that's pretty much it with this show. I believe it's time for AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite. This is the final go-home show before we head to Revolution this coming Sunday. Now, our opening match is a title match. It's for the AEW All Atlantic Championship between our champion, Orange Cassidy, and versus the firm's Big Bill. Now, at some part of the beginning of this match, you know how Orange is. He plays a bit of the mind games, trying to knows that he's dealing with a much bigger individual. So he tried to play the smart game. But at some point, Stokey had enough, tried to do that. But of course, Stokey's shenanigans will get him in trouble, not to mention with one particular person, and that is Danhausen, who has his back. So basically, he shows up, but it did not work. But it took at least 3 orange punches to put him away. But the biggest one is when he had to go like a much higher elevation of the orange punch to put away Big Bill in order to retain its title. But at what cost? That's the thing about this particular match. But nonetheless, Orange Cassidy was not willing to back down or lose his title to a guy like Big Bill. Now, last week after the match between Evil Uno and John Moxley, Moxley had some words to say for the death match, Texas death match taking place in Revolution, and all this and that. And he did stated to Hangman that both of them may not walk out of this the same man as they were in walking in, which most happily it could happen. Now, the Elite comes out as always, but the lights turned off, and we all know who that was behind it, the House of Black. I mean, I was surprised that it took this short of amount of time to get them to challenge for the trios titles. You know, I feel like it's kind of like too close to have this match, but nonetheless, the House of Black made it clear that they would challenge for these titles. They even mentioned this in a bit of a one of their vignettes, that sort of thing. But yeah, so that match will probably take place in Revolution or so. Now, Samoa Joe comes out to commentary to observe the face of the Revolution ladder match. We have wrestlers like Kingston, Ortiz, a Commander, who's from Chaos Lucha Libre, Action Andretti, Sammy Guevara, Powerhouse Hop, AR Fox, and Konosuke Takeshita. I thought this is a pretty good match. Not to mention people got a firsthand exposure of Commander. Now, if you guys ever seen him, he's amazing. He made several appearances in GCW, I think in other promotions such as Prestige. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, he was great. I think, but however, there were two people that many fans might have believed that this would have fallen in favor of. I was observing that since they were in San Francisco, people were like hoping it would be Powerhouse Hobbs since he is from that area, and then of course we cannot forget the rising phenom himself, Konosuke Takeshita. So that kind of sets in, but we did see Daniel Garcia show up to make sure that Action Drive doesn't get involved, but because the feud continues, it might have cost Sammy Guevara. But as for Kingston Ortiz, we saw that they went all the way to the back and to separate them. That we didn't see them then. But it was Powerhouse Hobbs who walked out as the winner of the Face of the Revolution ladder match. He'll be facing the winner between Samoa Joe and Warlow at Dynamite the following week. But as soon as this happened, we did see Warlow come out, and then later all hell broke loose. Security team got their butts handed to them by Warlord in any way possible. Now, our next match, or our next interview, we have the Best Friends. As you know, the result of last week or so, the Best Friends were viciously attacked um, by the firm to ensure they cut down the competition. However, the Best Friends were not cleared to wrestle, but out of nowhere, Dan Hounds had volunteered himself and um, Orange Cassidy challenge for to be getting the final spot at Revolution for the tag titles out of the four teams, and of course Orange Cassidy did it anyway. But people were saying, was that wise from Orange? Well, we don't know. Now our next match we have is Jericho versus Peter Avalon. Now this was a bit of a payback for what happened last week. Now keep in mind Ricky Starks sets up an open challenge for Revolution. Jericho, who felt that no one was going to accept the challenge. Apparently Peter Avalon did. This drove Jericho to, like, you got to be kidding me. Someone did volunteer. He thought it was ridiculous, so he put himself in a position to accept the open challenge. But Peter Avalon felt that this was stolen from him, and who could blame him for how he feels? So, but Peter Avalon did get a taste of him until Jericho pulled off the code breaker, giving him the win. However, Jericho was going to finish off Peter Avalon until luckily, so Ricky Stark showed up to give him a helping hand, but the members of the JSA showed up to make sure that they soften him up before Sunday. Now we do get a little video message from Hammond Page talking about Moxley as always. So that sort of thing is going to continue on and on and on. So that's what's been happening. Now our next interview we have in the ring, Renee Paquette calls out Christian Cage. Christian Cage, as you know, we haven't seen him for quite some time. He decides like he overheard what Jungle Boy is talking about. As you know, Jungle Boy says he has better plans now, that he's going to compete as a singles wrestler for a championship. And Jericho is trying to derail him, telling him that he's better off going to Hollywood than being a wrestler. But however, Jungle Boy had a strong message to him. So basically, he put him said that he's going to bury him in the ground with his name on it, and that says a lot. So Christian just kept silence, and that kind of went in that way. Now, our next interview we see, of course, is Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. As you know, they're going to be close eye on the match between Toni Storm and Rio. As you know, the feud between uh, Hayter and Britt Baker against Saraya and Toni Storm rages on. But I think the real factor is Ruby Soho. So we'll get to that in a bit. Now, our next match is the FTW Championship between Hook and Matt Hardy. Now, if Matt Hardy loses this match, Stokey Hathaway will be in a match against him at Rev. And I thought it was very interesting. So there were moments that we did see, of course, Ethan Page gets off, but of course we all knew what kind of a scumbag Stokey Hathaway is. His hand was not broken, but he whacked Hook with the cast, but it didn't put him away until he end up in a red rum. So that means he's gonna have to confront Hook, and he's like had that look in the face, like he knows that he's in trouble, but the firm are banned from ringside. So there was a moment in the back where, of course, you see like Stokey did not say a thing. He just kept his mouth shut. He's still processing. Matt Hardy tries to say, "I'm sorry, but I'll train you myself." You know, so I think this is the one of the most funnest things I've ever watched. Now our next match is Toni Storm versus Ruby Soho. You probably guessed how this is gonna be, or try to picture it. As you know, we see Saraya, as always, try to intervene, but of course, Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter showed up to deal with the matter. Noticed that Ruby Soho wasn't there, so that kind of tells it us a little bit. But thanks to the interference by Britt Baker onto Toni Storm, Riho picked up the win by a roll up, and then the brawl between both sides continue on. Then, of course, we saw Ruby Soho show up. Then she punched Saraya, and then later got into Jamie Hayter. So now it's proven that Ruby Soho is her own side. Now keep in mind, you got someone like Saraya who believes that freelancers, they know the outcasts are the real deal, and the insiders don't know jack, and that's how it is. But Ruby plays out the role of in between. So we'll see what happens in Revolution in that three-way women's championship match. Now, our next, we do see a little message from Keith Lee and Dustin Rhodes. As you know, they'll be facing the Mogul affiliates. As you know, this is going to happen on Rampage, so we're looking forward to that. Now, our final match is the Revolution Casino Tag Team Battle Royal. We had different wrestlers who were involved, like we saw the Blackpool Combat Club, the Dark Order, La Facción Ingobernable, Menard and Parker. Who else? The Top Flight, Orange Cassidy and Danhausen, and the Butcher and the Blade. But the obvious thing, how this was going to play out, I was a bit of surprised how it is. It was, of course, Danhausen and Orange Cassidy won, and of course the Guns did not like that. However, Lethal, Singh, and Jared show up to soften them up, but luckily the Acclaim show up for a helping hand, and of course everybody else ran like the scared dogs. But should the Guns be worried? I would say yes, because here's the way I see it. Even if they try to get rid of the Acclaim and the Best Friends, this still needs matter because they're going to turn it, but anything could happen. We'll just wait and see till Revolution. Then we do have an final interview with Brian Danielson talking about MJF, and MJF was trying to interfere. He tells him, "The reason you hate me, Max, is because I have everything, a wife, a beautiful kids, and all that." So that sort of thing, kind of, and he just didn't let MJF, you know, talk the entire time. I thought it was very interesting how that went down. I don't know if that was a proper ending, but that's how it ended. So I think that's pretty much it right now with AEW. I believe it's time for some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So this is what we have for our GCW updates. We have some matches that have been announced for the next couple of events. For the 4th of March, for Holy Smokes, Maki Ito has been booked to take on Lufisto, so that's going to be a very interesting matchup. And then the following day, we have the Ransom event that takes place on the 5th of March. And this is a very interesting match that was booked. We have the JCW Championship on the line. Our current champion, Jordan Oliver, will defend it against someone who I'm not sure if this is wise to put him in with. We're talking about Blake Christian. Now, you know Blake Christian. See here, if he hears that this is going to be what's going to happen this weekend, he will do whatever it takes to win it. So if I was Jordan Oliver, I would be more careful with him. Now, our next event that takes place on April 21st for Into the Light is announced that Matt Cardona is going to be there, and so will be the bounty hunter, Brian Keith. And then finally, for the scene of a crime that in Orlando takes place on the 22nd, we're going to have Nick Gage and finally Sumi Sakai. Now, House of Glory has announced for their upcoming event for this month in March. On the 10th, we have With Glory Comes Pride. The House of Glory tag team titles will be on the line. Main event, defend them against the Bookers, consistent of the Amazing Red and Brian XL. Now, our final update here. This one was a much recent one that came out. Pro Wrestling Noah has announced that Daisuke Irada has announced that he will be retiring from pro wrestling. Uh, this is something I kind of don't know for sure. I was like in the 50-50. Daisuke Irada actually got injured in August of 2022. We weren't sure when he'll be back. We know he made some brief appearances and all that. But however, much like what happened to Keiji Muto, it was the doctors that actually told him, that urged him, he has to retire. And that's exactly what he did. So there's going to be that. His final match will be an exhibition match taking place on March 9th in Korakuen Hall. And I don't know who the opponent is going to be, but hopefully that will be announced sooner than we think. So we'll see from there. I believe that is it right now for our news updates. I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we got Impact Wrestling. I haven't decided yet what else I'm going to be doing. I'll be, winging it as much as possible. As a friendly reminder, don't forget this weekend we have AEW Revolution. We'll see about that, but just as a friendly reminder for everybody. And I hope every remembers. Please, we're continuing on. I want to keep doing the announcement for this. Let's give it aid to Jungle Kiona. If you're planning to buy a shirt from her on the Pro Wrestling Tees, do so. You're doing a helpful thing for her, as you know she was dealing with trying to recover from the knee injury. She only has 2 more matches before she goes on her indefinite hiatus. I did say I was going to buy my shirt in 2 weeks' time, but we'll see about that. So for now, I'll see you guys on the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.